there's no point in trying to do that again. It just the magic was lost.
The
I,
magic is lost.
I just forgot to press record, and so that
Well,
information is now lost.
nobody will ever know what it was we were talking about. Hello, welcome to
Hello.
Televised the TV Movie Story, a podcast with mysteries. We have a very own mystery box, just like on Lost. Speaking of,
Except with Lost, like we are not going to answer this mystery box. Who
yes, Lost, which famously satisfied all audiences by
I
answering all of its
I
questions.
I don't know a thing about Lost outside that there are actors in it that you like.
Yes, that is a. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that was an intentional joke. Because, I mean, for the people that don't like Lost, very famously, they think that it didn't answer questions. Some of it did answer in the show. People are just stupid. But we're not talking about Lost. We're not talking about a movie that has any Lost actors in it, to my knowledge. We are talking about When a Stranger Calls Back, a movie that, as with all the movies this month, I picked off of your list.
Yes.
I mean, I know why I picked it. I'll talk about that in a second. But I am curious as to why this was on your priority list, especially when, as we were talking about, you have not seen When a Stranger Calls.
That is correct. I have not seen the original movie that this is a sequel to, yet it was on my priority list simply because, one, for two reasons. One, I like Carol Kane. I think Carol Kane is a great actor. Two, I thought the title was funny and the poster was very funny. Like it, like just the fact, like from what I know about the first movie, it's just about uh Carol Kane, she is a babysitter, and there is a stranger calling. It's kind of like the opening to Scream or whatever, where there's this killer calling her on the phone, just taunting her for like the whole movie, and it's like the call is coming from inside the house, dun dun dun, and whatever. But then it's just like for a sequel, it's called When a Stranger Calls Back, so it's just like it puts in mind like it's the same guy just calling her like the next night. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Remember the time I tried to attack you? Crazy. Uh, and then also just the fact that Carol Kane has a gun on the poster. It's just like I is she going to shoot the phone that I'm imagining is like the central antagonist like of it? Like I didn't think a guy would be in her house or anything. I thought he was just calling her on the phone. Uh, but yeah, that rambled my way into an explanation, I think.
Totally. Yeah. I will say a few misperceptions about what the original When a Stranger Calls is, which I also had when I first saw it. So yeah, the reason why I picked this one, I think I mentioned it when we were picking, but I'll say it again here anyway on the episode. At the theater where I volunteer, a few months ago, we did a screening as part of a series of remakes, where we did the original 25-minute short film, The Sitter, that then Fred Walton and whoever the co-writer was adapted their own short into a full feature When a Stranger Calls a few years later, which you would think, and obviously you would think, as you just described, that that means they took the 20 some minute short and expanded it out into a feature. What they did was they remade almost shot for shot, line for line, the 23-minute short film The Sitter, and then another hour or so of fallout after that, which is a lot of Charles Durning running around the city, and a lot of the killer just sort of like harassing this one woman that's not Carol Kane. There's
This
probably about an hour in the middle of When a Stranger Calls that Carol Kane is not in the movie.
this explains a lot about When a Stranger Calls Back.
Yes, and then and that so you know the 20 minutes thing happens a lot. Then we cut forward to however many years later. The killer has escaped the mental hospital and is just sort of out on the streets of wherever. He goes to a bar, tries to chat with this woman, gets beaten the fuck up by this other guy. He follows her home, sort of ingratiates himself to her. Charles Durning eventually finds out that it's him. There's a big chase scene. It's a lot of stuff. He gets away. And then the epilogue gets back to Carol Kane. She's now moved on. Which, by the way, in that first one, in the first section, the kids get murdered. The reason he keeps saying, "Have you checked the children?" which is the only thing he keeps saying over the phone, is because he is already in the house and has murdered the kids and is trying to lure her upstairs to murder her as well. Um, and then at the end, she's now married. She has kids of her own. She is out to dinner. She has hired a babysitter, and she gets a call at the restaurant as the same guy says, "Have you checked the children?" Now I'm just sort of describing when a stranger calls, but I think it's
Yeah.
pertinent for for this episode here because it's one of those things where, like, obviously the call is coming from inside the house is huge as a trope, as a line, and to a lesser degree, so is "Have you checked the children?" I would imagine most people that know those cultural touchstones, one, might not even know that it's from a movie called When a Stranger Calls, and two, certainly don't know what the movie When a Stranger Calls actually is. So
Hmm.
it's important table setting, I feel here.
Yeah.
But
You
then,
you did just kind of spoil the entirety of When a Stranger Calls.
yeah, it came out in 1979. Who cares?
Clearly, some of us have not seen the movie.
Did you care enough? You didn't
I
watch it.
I kind of care. Like, I kind of want to watch it now that I've seen the
Okay.
sequel, but it's
I won't tell you what happens after that because there is still fallout from there. There is
oh, I
still
the way you're
a
talking about it made it seem like the last line was him
it
calling her.
it feels like it should be when you watch the movie. It does feel like that should. It's such a good little moment that, like, when I saw it in the theater was like, oh, is it going to end here? And then when it kept going, I was like, oh, it should have ended there. But there is more. There is more from there, but I won't spoil that. But When a Stranger Calls, real good opening, real good ending. A lot of the stuff with Charles Durning just as this cop who's going kind of crazy. I think he ends up like quitting the force to focus on this one guy. Uh, kind of drags. Speaking of which, When a Stranger Calls Back. Also, a bit of a misperception of what I thought this movie was going to be. Namely, not a lot of phone calls in this movie.
I mean, it's there's the beginning. It's like it's mainly talking about the
But
beginning.
that's not over the phone. That's a guy
Oh
outside the
yeah, that's
house.
right.
The phone very
No,
pointedly doesn't
yeah.
work at all in this movie,
Oh yeah.
ever. There is
Wait,
no
yeah.
phone calling at any point in the movie when a stranger calls back. It's also a different stranger, not the stranger from the first movie.
Yeah.
No calling back. It's just a snappy title. It's just one of those, like, you know, we should have called the sequel to Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It's that. It's When a Stranger Calls Back, even though different stranger doesn't use the phone. Uh,
Yeah.
real strange little. Anyway,
I guess in this version, it's like it's using calling back as in like talking back, you know?
kind of a
Because
little
like we'll
bit.
we'll get into that, like why I'm thinking that makes sense, but also it's definitely not intended. It's definitely just what's a
It's
funny
just
thing
for
we
the
could
sake of it. Yeah.
like this feels like one of those movies where it's like we have the title and now we have to write a movie.
Yeah, we can't just call this When a Stranger Calls Back or When a Stranger Calls 2 or
When a
When Another
stranger
Stranger
calls
Calls.
you,
When Another Stranger Calls.
when when if a stranger calls,
Why a stranger calls. How a stranger calls. And that was
does a
just
stranger call? Question mark.
How a Stranger Calls is just a documentary about how telephones work.
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute short from the
Yeah,
NFE.
it's just very procedural about this is how the telephone system works. Anyway,
And
let's do
it
some
still
table
has
setting.
Carol Kane and Charles
Yes,
Durning.
yeah, they're just narrating it. Just a little TV docudrama.
It's like that fucking Matthew Perry, Jennifer Aniston, like Windows
It's
95
exactly
instructional
that.
movie.
I would watch any amount of Charles Durning and Carol Kane anything, which I realized earlier tonight that these When a Stranger Calls movies aren't the only movies that the two of them were in together.
What have
Because
they
they're
done?
also both in Dog Day Afternoon.
Where was Carol Kane in Dog Day Afternoon?
She's one of the bank tellers, right?
Oh,
Isn't she?
I I didn't
Is it
know that.
is it somebody else? I'm pretty sure it's her. Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, she's in Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah,
I
I
I
think
just
she's
didn't
like
know
the
that.
yeah. I think she's the one that like is sympathetic to John Cazale throughout. Like she's the one that's like sort of taking care of him.
Wow, so
Uh,
she was in Hester Street and Dog Day Afternoon the same year.
Good for
That's
her.
that's good for her. I love Carol
Good for
Kane.
Carol Kane. Is she's kind of on one in this movie in a way that I really liked. Just the way this character has really gone through it from being the aggressed upon babysitter to the moved past from the trauma mother who then gets traumatized again in the third act of the movie to now she's working at a university in a different city running like a women's clinic, like a crisis center.
Hmm.
Uh, love that for her. Genuinely love that for Jill Johnson or whatever her
Yeah.
last name is.
Uh, what is she?
Uh,
Jill. Yeah, Jill Johnson. You were
so you have
right.
a Jill Johnson and a Julia Jenz. A lot of
Yeah,
J names for
and
these.
also Julia
John
Jenz is played by Jill Schoelen. So
and John Clifford. A lot of J's.
and also
Fascinating.
not a J, but it's Sam Sound Gene Lithgow as the
Yes. No
stranger.
relation. No relation to
It's spelled with a Y.
Lythgow. There's
Did
also
wait? Did she
a
go through the cast?
I did. We were about to say the same thing. There's a McNulty in this movie. Also no relation.
Wait, oh, Kevin McNulty as Dr. Schifrin. Okay.
The doctor that she's babysitting for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, was there someone else you were gonna mention?
No, I was
Oh.
just like I had just didn't know if you'd gone through the cast already, like named them all. Oh, that was
No,
just
yeah,
like
let me do the table setting here for this movie. We are talking about When a Stranger Calls Back from 1993, written and directed by Fred Walton, who also wrote and directed When a Stranger Calls. It's the sequel, as we mentioned, to When a Stranger Calls. It stars Carol Kane, Charles Durning, Jill Schoelen, Gene Lithgow. Premiered on Showtime, April 4th, 1993. Our first Showtime movie, if I'm not mistaken.
maybe. Probably.
Uh, Also, I didn't find a time on that, and the website that I used for TV listings didn't list Showtime, but other things that were airing that Sunday on ABC, they were playing The Ten Commandments. On CBS, there was an episode of Murder, She Wrote, and then a TV movie called A Place to Be Loved with Rhea Perlman and Richard Crenna.
Ooh.
On Fox, there was a bunch of sitcoms just all night. And on NBC, there was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, an episode of Eyewitness Video, and a TV movie, Diana, Her True Story, part one of two, about Princess Diana, starring Serena Scott Thomas, sister of Kristen Scott Thomas.
Oh, and that was like before she died. Okay.
Yes, because she died in 97, I think, or
Yeah,
96.
97. I just watched
Um,
Amelie. I should know the exact day when she died.
I don't remember that part of Amelie, so that reads as
Oh,
kind of a non
it
sequitur to me, but I believe
it
you.
is an important like for those of you who have not seen Amelie in the audience, it's like the shock of Princess of Lady Di's death is like what causes her to drop a bottle that opens a thing in the wall where she finds a little toy box, a metal box that contains a
Oh,
bunch of memories.
yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that a little bit now.
Yeah,
I
and
forgot that
also
that was what made that happen, though.
yeah, and then like there's also the shopkeeper, the younger one, the not evil one. He's like obsessed with Lady Di.
Love that.
I just watched this. It's Amelie's a great movie. I wish
Yeah, I
we could talk
remember
about
really
that.
liking it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I owe it a rewatch.
Hmm.
But
Like it was my first time watching it in like 10 years.
yeah,
So,
it's probably been that long, if not longer, for me as well. When a stranger calls back.
yes, sorry. Sorry.
No, no, you're fine. This is the tangent heavy episode already. We're allowed to.
Yeah.
Um,
Which honestly, I think this episode might need just because I I don't think this is a very like there's not a lot to talk about with this, not because it's not
yeah,
good or anything, just because like the first 30 minutes are just like one scene and
yes,
then
it
the
does the exact same thing that When a Stranger Calls does, where the opening scene is a 25-minute a babysitter getting harassed by an unseen voice
Mhm.
that we'll talk about how that voice comes into play later.
Uh
But yeah, let's start with that opening sequence. I will say, doesn't live up to the original by any means. It is because that's what's so great about the original one is one, she's getting phone calls, as the
yeah.
title would suggest. And she keeps getting these calls that are like, it's just the creepy voice saying, have you checked the children? Like that. And that is it. And he's, or nothing. He's calling and he's saying nothing, and he's hanging up, and it builds tension. And it really does feel like, I mean, I watched it knowing about, the call is coming from inside the house. So I knew to be on edge for that. But it makes the house feel so much more like tense and creepy that like there's this sort of omnipotent voice that is talking about how he can see her, but you don't know where it's coming from. And it's so strange. And then this, it's like there's a guy at the door who says his car broke down and he's telling her to call the auto club and the phone is down and she lies about it for no reason, I guess. Um,
I guess she's suspicious of this like random guy when she like can't see the car and stuff, and it's just like there's so many reasons like why like he's insisting on things. It's like
Yeah,
she,
I
she
just don't I don't know why she wouldn't just say, because it seems to me like the more logical version would be to tell the truth and say, "Hey, the phone line is down. I'm sorry I can't help you. You have to go find someone else." Which obviously, it's sort of implied that he cut the phone line, I think,
yeah.
and that he knows that like
Yeah, because he
I don't know
calls out
what
that like she's lying and
yes.
stuff.
I don't know what advantage she has in lying and saying that she called the car company, which at the very best, this guy needs help, and she's just lying and keeping him there at her doorstep. I guess until the family comes home is the idea, but
Yeah.
the tension is not there. It's not nearly as frightening as it is in the original movie or the original short film, which by the way is pretty solid in and of itself. It is definitely lower production value than what they have for the feature, but it works just as well.
I I really liked it. Maybe it's because it's the fact that I I haven't seen the movie, but it really worked for me. I was my one of my few notes was kind of shocked how good this opening is. But then again, it's probably just like because it's ripping off, it's ripping off this other
Itself,
classic
yeah.
movie. So it's just like it's following those same beats. It uses the same formula, which is probably just good formula.
Yeah, and I'm sure like, because again, it's written and directed by the same guy. So I'm sure he was there like, oh, well, I want to do it different this time. We have to keep this set piece thing as a concept, but how can I make it different? But it just for the most part kind of like she does multiple times go up and check the children, and that sort of unspoken thing in the first one is what makes it so tense, is that she knows not to go upstairs, kind of. She's terrified to check the children. And in this one, he just sort of like, there's some good scares in there, I will say. The part where she goes to call again and she picks up the notepad where she'd written down all the information and the paper's gone
Hmm.
that's a good bit. That's a good little like, oh shit, like we have breached some sort of like she's not as safe as she thinks she is. And that moment really worked for me. That moment really like it jolted me
I
because it like it ups the stakes.
I
But
I really
yeah,
like the one moment where she like opens up the door and all that's out there is just a jacket and she like runs back inside the house.
yeah, that's a good little moment there. I also like when she finds out that the back door is unlocked. Like there's moments when she sees that the piece of paper that the wife left with the phone number for where they are on the fridge is gone. Like there's little details here that really work. It just is kind of padded out by the whole lying about the broken down car thing that just
Yeah.
for whatever reason that isn't as exciting to me as a hook, because I know I'm supposed to be scared of this guy, but it just ultimately doesn't work as well when he's telling a lie in a store and like conversing with her as it does in the original, where he's just this ominous, spooky voice asking, "Have you checked the children?" Um, and then also the ending is goofy, where
It,
she gets the door unlocked again. She goes through all three locks and gets outside, and then the voice is like, "He's in there. You gotta look into the living room." And she turns, and there's just a guy in the shadows creeping slowly towards her with his hands outstretched like a Scooby-Doo monster. And it just like part of what's so thrilling about the original. And I don't want to just keep comparing it to the original because I know that's, but also like we're coming at it from two different perspectives, and I think that's
Yeah.
a
You,
worthy perspective to have here. Uh, you
like we
never
have the
see,
different we have the
yes,
different views, so it's okay.
in the original movie, in When a Stranger Calls, you never see him in the opening sequence other than like his his sort of silhouette moving for like half a second at the top of the stairs. And in this, you can like see his face, and there's multiple shots cutting back to him lumbering towards her for no reason. There's no reason for him to go that slowly. He's pretty spry, as we see later. Excuse me. Uh, and it just like any tension it was building to, it really just loses that momentum in that shot for me in a way that like is then followed up by 40 minutes of at most vaguely ambient terror that doesn't really go anywhere either. So it's one chance at having a good like opening scare to keep you on your feet for the rest of your movie where it gets mostly procedural.
Mhm.
Didn't really work for me.
To me, like just watching that, like I get where you're coming from. Like I see the world where like it might be better where we don't see him at all. But to me, when I saw that, it got in my mind that oh, there's two guys that are working on this. They're working
Yes,
together,
yes.
and that's where the key drama of the film is because the eventual twist reveals that there's only one guy, and we find out how that happens.
It's there again. Some of the stuff later on is equal parts pretty thrilling and pretty goofy, kind of at the same time. And this one just doesn't work for. And again, there's stuff. There's a point where the voice outside just sort of like is kind of creepy and says, "Have you been upstairs in the past 5 minutes? I've seen him. There's a man inside the house. I've seen him moving around up there." And like, it does sort of get under your skin a little bit. And then it just was kind of deflating having that shot of him just walking towards the camera. If he was running, if he just like ran out of the shadows at her, that would be that would get your heart racing. But he's just moving so slowly that I don't find it all that scary
Mhm.
for me,
Uh,
which is a problem because you don't get any more scares until the last 10 minutes of the movie ultimately.
mhm. Uh, one little thing is just when you said like when you reminded me that he says like, "Have you been upstairs?" It's like, oh my God, is that just like a clear ripoff of like, "Have you checked the children?" And
Yeah, it's like, well, we don't want to say, have you checked the children again? So
been upstairs.
have you been into the children's room in the past 5 minutes? It's very like it's very consciously not trying to be a rehash of the first one in a way that like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It would be I I was thinking, there was a remake of When a Stranger Calls in like 2006 that is just the stretched out babysitter scene. It is the opening 23-minute sequence stretched out into a full feature.
Oh,
But like I think it's not a property that has been rehashed. It is not a property that has been milked to death. You don't have like in the way that you have like multiple Black Christmas remakes, multiple The Omen remakes, multiple of these like second or third tier horror movies that have been redone. I feel like you could make a pretty interesting modern remake of When a Stranger Calls, where like the premise of it is that like it's in the real world where the movie When a Stranger Calls exists, and then it's a copycat killer doing Have You Checked the Children to like riff on this movie that exists, and then like is doing it. I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier about how like you could do another interesting Have You Checked the Children When a Stranger Calls type movie these days, and I would like to see it.
hmm. Like yeah, it's definitely like I don't even know who owns the rights to When a Stranger Calls, but it's just like if they want to renew that copyright, I feel like it'd be a good thing to do.
Yeah. It's I think kind of murky because let's see from IMDb. 20th Century Fox originally had distribution rights to this film, to When a Stranger Goes Back, but because the film didn't have the star power they wanted in the cast, dropped the sequel from their slate. Showtime picked it up and
It's
agreed to
Columbia.
distribute it. Yes. Uh, oh, apparently the director here hates the ending to the movie, which kind of agree. It's the original ending, which spoiler alert here. We'll get into it later, but when Jill shoots herself slash is shot, in the original script she dies,
This
but
is the first movie?
no, in this movie,
Oh.
or Julia, not Jill. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
Julia. Again, too many J names. Jill Johnson, Julia Jenz, John Clifford. Played Julia Jenz, played by Jill Schoelen, which is where
Yes.
the Jill is coming from in there. Originally, when she gets shot, either by her own hand or by the stranger, she died, and the Showtime made him change it so that she lives, so that you can have a happy ending, which is kind of bullshit. I do think she should die here because this movie doesn't have a body count. The kids are implied to have died, but the most we get confirmation of is that they're just missing. But
I
I mean,
wonder if that's
I mean,
another force change.
it does have a body count because the stranger dies at the end, unceremoniously. He has a name. He's not just credited as the stranger, but I don't
He's
remember it.
William Landis.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
we don't know him as that though. It's like by
No, yes. The first one, his name is Kurt Duncan. Like
that's a
that's a
stupid
good.
name. I'm sorry.
Oh, Kurt with a C. Kurt.
That's a stupid name.
Well, yeah, he's a stupid guy. In the like the okay, the thing about both of these movies is When a Stranger Calls shows us way too much of the killer, and When a Stranger Calls Back shows us way too little of him. I think there's I like a lot of the original movie is him just like trying to become friends with this woman that he meets at a bar, and like there's a point where he like becomes friends with this homeless guy that then Charles Durning tries to pay off and runs into twice in one night in whatever like big, is it San Francisco or something? Um
No clue.
in the original, I don't know. But like there's a lot of stuff that like we're following him too much. And in this one, he doesn't show up until there's like 30 minutes left in the movie. And even then, it's like to do his stage act, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then hide in the shadows pre blacked up. We'll talk about that. Uh
God.
and, and then like well no, first we see him in the hospital room, just like appearing in the shadows and then leaving and then showing up again and then leaving again. We'll get there, we'll get there. There's more movie to talk about before that if we're going somewhat chronologically. But like neither of these movies have a real good grasp on the killer, which is not great. There's a reason these aren't like remembered as all-time great horror movie villains, because they're ultimately not really.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
there's a lot of reasons why fucking what's his face for this one is not remembered. But
yes.
in terms of like the original like he's just remembered as the voice that
Yeah, which is good. Like the that scene when she's at the restaurant and she gets the call, the have you checked the children? And then the like score goes whoa, and it like zooms in on her. Like that alone is an iconic moment, and rightly so. It's terrifying in context and out of context, but like Kurt Duncan in the rest of the movie is just sort of like a guy that we get a lot of his POV as just this like troubled child murderer. Uh, that like there could be I don't know. It just ultimately doesn't really work in either of these. But so anyway, to go back to where we were, she the end of the babysitter scene, she runs out and runs under the arms of the doctor who's coming home, and then we cut forward 5 years.
big time
And
jump.
yes, yeah. She's at university and she goes home to her dorm. You can tell that they're definitely styling her differently to be like, okay, and now it's 1993, and now she dresses like a college student in 1993. None of that, whatever she was wearing, and I didn't pay attention to how she was styled at first. All I know is that she's definitely styled differently with like this big vest that she has on in the present day stuff. But she gets to her apartment and she does she notice the book here, or is that just something she's talking about later?
I don't think she knows this book. I think it's when she finds the child's
Yes,
shirt in
she
the
finds
closet.
the shirt in the closet, but I couldn't remember if she mentioned that the book also happened just now. But she finds a child's shirt hanging in her closet and runs to the police and is like telling them, "Hey, I triple bolt my door and it's a third story apartment and all this crazy shit has been happening to me in the past 4 months. This book on my shelf that I know where it was somewhere else. And what's the other thing she mentions?
I could not tell you.
Something else was different. And and then the jacket in her closet. And she's like, this is 3 times that this guy has broken into my apartment. Uh, I need help. And the cops are all, shitty movie cops. I love that one of them is like, you said you triple bolt your door and it's on the third story. That means nobody can break in. What are you talking about, lady? This isn't a problem.
It sounds safe to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, what you're telling me is someone has broken into your apartment. Um, okay, that's illegal. Like, why would someone do that? That's against the law. It's just like it's such a weird recursive logic thing of that he's like, you told us that like this guy would probably I don't know. It's real stupid. But they call in here. I wrote down this line because it's wild. They're out in the hallway after this, and one of the cops that looks like William Fichtner and isn't. I had to like triple check the cast to be like, is this a young William Fichtner in this? But it's not him. Or not him. The guy from Office Space. What's his name?
Oh,
Uh,
Gary Cole.
Gary Cole. Yes, he looks a lot like Gary Cole.
I'm
And I,
shocked I was able to pull that out.
yes, yeah. But so he's talking to this other cop, and he goes, call the university, tell them we have a hysterical co-ed on our hands, have them send over someone from the dean of women's office,
But not Jill.
but not Johnson. And then she shows up and is like, hello, Johnson. So Carol Kane entering the movie, hell yeah.
After
Uh,
30 minutes.
Yes, shows up and it's like, hey, I happen to have also been aggressed as a babysitter by a taunting man who, in my case, killed the kids, and in this case, just sort of abducted them and they disappeared, and the children are up in the air. And she's like, I believe this woman who also happens to have been aggressed upon by a man while she was babysitting at a doctor's house, and 2 children were abducted. So I'm going to take on this case of my own, like a detective. And you know what? I'm not going to do it alone. Let me call in my old good friend Charles Durning.
It's so funny how she's like talking to him. It's like, I have a friend that's gonna help us. And it's just like, and Charles Durning just seems like so tired. He does not want to
Yes.
be here.
Like, I don't remember, honestly, if they interact at all in the original. Because they're so set. There's like the first 20 minutes is Carol Kane, the middle like 40 minutes is Charles Darning, and then the last 15 or so minutes is Carol Kane again. I don't know if those characters interact other than at the very end of the opening sequence where she runs out of the house and like runs into Charles Darning, who's the cop that got called to the house. I think that is maybe the only time they interact. So it's so fun that she's like, "Oh, my old friend Charles Durning, welcome back, buddy. I'm gonna give you a big hug as you come off the bus in this real dorky grandpa sweater that he's got on." Uh,
So who says there's a call coming from inside the house?
because so she like calls the cops at some point and it's like, "Hey, someone's prank calling me," and then she calls them back. And then they are like, okay, next time he calls, we're gonna trace the call. We're sending over a squad car over your way, but like we're gonna trace the call next time. And then she keeps him on the line, and then she gets a call back from the police, and then they're like, hey, The call's coming from inside the house.
Okay. So
You got to get out of there.
so my mind, it was like I thought it was Charles Durning who said that, but I guess it's
I
not.
don't think it is because I think he's just the cop in the squad car that is sent over to the house. I don't. I think he's got enough of a specific voice that I feel like I would remember if it was him on the phone
Yeah.
there saying it. But so Durning shows up and they just sort of like take on the case together, like their own little private detective group, which I would watch so many movies of just Carol Kane and Charles Durning as private investigators.
Yeah, like
Uh,
they need their own kind of a Columbo type show. They're
yes,
like,
or like a Thin Man, Nick and Nora, like
yeah.
uh, would love that. But yeah, so there's like it's kind of hard to follow or hard to like remember what happens
Yeah,
when
it's hard
next.
to follow the logic where it's like trying to think of like how does Charles Durning get to the theater where the guy's performing?
Yeah, there is one scene I want to mention where we go to the crisis center and you get to see Carol Kane beat up a guy who's like a full foot taller than her. It's great. It's like a demonstration. She's not just like wailing on this guy for no reason. It's a demonstration for these other women of like how to, subdue an attacker so that later you can understand why Carol Kane's character is so physically able to hold her own in a fight against the intruder. But oh no, what happens next after that is we go to the house.
Yeah, they go
Uh
back to the house.
from the beginning because there's like a lot of stuff back and forth where like the guy keeps getting into the apartment. There's a scene where like she wakes up in the middle of the night and thinks that she sees a face in the window and Carol Kane walks her through like sweep the house, make sure the doors are locked, check the closet and everything, and that amounts to nothing. He's not there. It's a lot of tension built for no reason. But then she does wake up the next morning and the window's open, so I guess there is something there. But yes, they go back to the house, and Charles Durning just sort of like figures out, like, hey, this window in the living room was open about 6 or 8 inches, and she heard the guy in the bushes and then immediately turned and saw the guy in the living room. That means he must be a ventriloquist.
This fucking twist made me laugh so fucking hard.
And it turns out, by the way, he's right. He is a ventriloquist. Uh, but that's, we figure this out. And then while they're at the house still, a cop car pulls up and Charles Durning goes out and talks to the guy. And Jill has shot herself, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
And we go to the
Not
hospital.
not Jill.
Sorry, I keep saying Jill because the actress is Jill. Julia. Julia. Julia has shot herself. Um, and we go to the hospital. And
Jill and Julia, my favorite movie.
exactly. And Julia had been staying at Carol Kane's house the night before, and she shot herself at 2 a.m. according to the forensics, the ballistics, or whatever. And she's alive, but barely, and she might not talk, and she's unconscious or whatever. And Jill is like, "Oh, I should have been home to be with her." And the other cop there was like, "Oh, haven't you heard? She was at her apartment." Dun dun dun. I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like why'd she go back?
and that's the thing is maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Maybe she got brought back against her will, or maybe she was. The thing is, she was definitely shot in her apartment either way, because the bullet was in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's no evidence to suggest that a bullet was fired at Jill's house. So she just went back, I guess, and either did kill her or did try to kill herself or did get shot by this guy who did it to leave her alive anyway. Which bold move to shoot her in the temple, assuming that you're going to keep her alive. But they find her diary, and written in all caps across 2 pages is, "It's dark. I can't see. No phone. Jill, where are you?" And Jill uses this as hard evidence that it was the stranger. And Charles Durning uses it as, "I have no evidence. She probably did shoot herself. I'm out of here for kind of the rest of the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, well, not really, because he does go to the titty bar in a bit, but uh, we do
I
have a. Oh,
what I don't like is that I don't think we ever actually find out if she shot herself or not. Like we don't
yeah, it's ambiguous, which is annoying.
which I feel like that's one of the things we should answer. Like there's a lot of things you could make ambiguous,
The
but I
thing
think that's
about it,
one thing you should answer.
you should answer it if you are forced to leave her alive. If she does die here, I think it is totally fine to leave it ambiguous because then it can be a question that is unanswerable because she's dead and William, whatever the fuck, is dead at the end. And so you will never get an answer as to whether she shot herself or was killed by this guy. Uh, but because she's still alive at the end in the hospital bed, like, we should find out. And we should be given that closure because it's annoying otherwise.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to just keep
So let
steamrolling here and just
I
reading the
the
plot. Have,
thing
have
is
I have I skipped over anything you want?
you're good at just doing the plot description. It's
I
like I
also
like
just took a lot of notes of this scene and then this scene. So if you have anything
it's
you did note down, barge in, cut in, please. Or not cut in.
so
This is the yeah.
I have exactly four notes because I just like I said, it's like the beginning part, it's just there isn't really anything to take notes about. It's just this one long scene. And then the rest of the movie, I'm just so kind of bewildered by where everything's going that I can barely follow along. And
Weird
so
fucking movie.
it's it's a weird movie. And also, one of the few notes I did write is that Carol Kane is kind of giving a bad performance, but at the same time, she's Carol Kane, and I hang on her every word. Heard, and it's like,
Totally agree.
and like I, I am intrigued by movies where the cast seems just on completely different notes the entire time, and this is one of those movies
Yeah.
because Jill Schoelen is giving what I think is like a genuinely like really good performance as this like
I didn't love
traumatized.
her, but I know I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like especially in the opening segments and stuff, it's like she's doing everything she can. Like she is treating this like it's a very important role. And Carol Kane, I don't know what she's doing here. She's doing something. I can't really describe what it is. She's just being Carol Kane, but in a weird way. And
She's
I
very flat.
yeah. Yeah, and it's like I don't know, hard to grasp. And Charles Durning is just very sleepy,
Yes. This is no Dark Knight of the Scarecrow for him.
unfortunately.
Um, but he is pleasant.
Imagine if it's like Charles Durning, Carol Kane. They go to a house, and then as Charles Durning is like looking around, he finds a piece of straw. And it's like,
It's the
oh my
Scarecrow.
God, it's a scarecrow. When a
So,
scarecrow calls back.
there you go, Dark Knight of the Stranger. That could be something, actually. That's not a joke. That's just like a title that you could have for something.
I
Um,
like it. Anyway,
but okay,
we need to finally dive into this fucking ventriloquist stuff.
there's two things first. Two more scenes. But
No, okay,
no,
go ahead, go ahead.
just going chronologically. They are important, and one of them is ventriloquism adjacent. But the first one is we go to the hospital room again, and we see just like a wide shot of Julia in bed. The thing is, I wrote in my notes Jill shot herself, so that doesn't help. Uh,
Oh no.
Julia in bed, unconscious, and then we see the stranger emerge from the shadows and look at her, and then back into the shadows, and then Carol Kane shows up and is like, "Hey, sorry you got shot. I'm gonna fix this for you. I'm gonna find the guy." And then she leaves, and then the stranger comes back out of the shadows and looks at her and just starts hitting her. Just tapping her on the stomach and then hitting her harder and then harder. And it's so wild out of nowhere. Just like, hey, 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 wake up. Hey, wake up. And it's just starts punching her in the stomach and then leaves again. And then that's the end of that scene. And it's just so wild. It's not scary in the same way that you would want for a horror movie. It's just sort of unnerving and weird and amounts to nothing other than, well, not nothing, but it's just it's one of the many very strange things that happens in this movie that goes uncommented on.
Hmm. It The thing about this movie is that on the one hand, I am just so baffled by so much of it, but at the same time, I kind of really like it. Like
Yeah,
it's not good at all, but at the same time, like I was not bored during it. Like I was like invested in this dumbass plot, and I had a good time by the end of this fucking movie. It's
this
like
is like upper tier of the bad movies we've done slash bottom tier of the good movies we've done. I think it's like
that
right in that middle.
that's exactly where I rank it.
It's like right below the Langoliers and the Late Shift, and right above the Hanged Man and Babes in Toyland. Like
Exactly.
a real middle mid tier movie. Um,
It's exactly we like what we expect when we start
no,
this
it's
podcast.
I don't think it's exactly what we expected for this. Oh, okay, yes, this is exactly what we expected when we started the podcast. Not exactly what we expected when we pressed play on When a Stranger Calls
Yeah,
Back.
that's what I meant. It's like it's
Yes.
just like the what we think of when we think of a TV movie.
Yes. A sequel to something that was theatrically released and is a bit weirder and a bit lower budget and a bit lower tier.
Hmm.
But so the scene before we get the ventriloquist act, Jill for real this time, actual Jill, is out at the grocery store shopping, and she passes by a shelf of vodka and is like, "Huh, I am not going to get vodka." And then she leaves her cart to go get something, and then she goes back to the cart, and the bottle of vodka is in the cart. And then
Yep.
she starts hearing from all around the grocery store, Jill, I'm here. Just like he's talking to her, he's ventriloquisming at her, and nobody else is noticing. And it's setting the stage that yes, this is in fact a ventriloquist.
Hmm. Uh, that's just what alcoholism's like, though.
Yeah. What? Who put this in my cart? It wasn't me. I guess it was the voices. I guess I don't want to be making fun of this. That feels like not my joke to make.
Nah, it, it sounds like an SNL sketch, but then
It
again, the
does.
SNL writers would definitely be in a position to write those jokes.
Yeah. But so anyway,
Anyway, that
this next scene.
that's probably insensitive. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We'll move on to make fun of ventriloquists instead because
Yes. A ventriloquist that certainly deserves it. The Great Landis is his stage name. And he comes out to the stage in this real, just like dingy ass dive bar. I'm not exaggerating to call it a titty bar. It is topless waitresses through and through. You get nipples in this movie.
hell yeah.
A good handful of them, no pun intended.
How
But
many of
so
these movies that we've watched have nipples in them? I'm curious.
this has got to be the second, right after Gia. I can't.
Was
Uh,
there any in Riot? No, no, there wasn't.
I don't think so. Um, None in the. I don't think unless the Langoliers themselves are
they're
giant
not titties,
tits.
unfortunately. I wish they were.
Unfortunately, not. Um, so anyway, he comes out on stage, not in blackface, but painted black, wearing all black, head to toe, more like the woodsman from Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah,
Not he's not doing a racist caricature. He is painted black the color, not black the race.
it's
Uh,
meant to be him. Like that's how he disguises himself in the shadows.
he's a shadow, and the spotlight that they again this dive bar that has a spotlight, okay, and a spotlight operator, sure. That like he makes the operator point it at his dummy and not at him. Like he is staying in the shadow, doing some real avant-garde ventriloquism, I must say. It's not comedy. It's like spoken word, like about, the mask we put on for ourselves and looking in the mirror and who are we in our essence. And he props up the dummy, and the dummy doesn't have a face, which is like kind of the one thing a ventriloquist dummy does need in order to be a ventriloquist dummy is a face to talk out
Oh,
of.
but he's different. It's
Yes.
neither mouth moves because one doesn't have a mouth and the other isn't moving, yet the voice still comes.
Again, avant-garde. Very Andy Kaufman of him.
But
Uh,
but
but
the
like
question I
shitty.
have is like let's say this movie were set modern day and this was like a real ventriloquist. Would he go viral on TikTok for his crowd work?
Not for his crowd work, but for, hey, look at this fucking freak.
He would get
Because
canceled.
yes, for because the frat boys start like jeering at him, and he's like, well, the or to the college boys out there in their mirror is the water of the toilet bowl after a toga party. But I wouldn't know because I've never been. I've never been invited because I'm, oh, poor me. I simply had to go kidnap and kill those children. I'm tortured. And then kind of out of nowhere, the bar manager rushes the stage. Is like, "Get the fuck out of here! You're bad at ventriloquism. You make me sick. I should murder you. Go clean our toilets. Actually, don't. Go out into the alley, you fucking freak. You're bad at art. Go away. Die."
It's so funny how it's just like he and the guy who owns the place has such a hard time getting the spotlight operator to turn off the
It's
light
so
and to get him
stupid.
out. It's like it
There's
takes so long to get him off the stage.
it's and the best part about it is like Charles Durning walks into the bar immediately after he's been kicked. Like he misses this guy by a matter of seconds. And then finds him anyway in the back alley and is like, "Hey, are you William Landis? I missed your act earlier. Can we talk? I want to see it. Hey, you you shoot that girl? You kill those kids?" And he chases him down the alley. We get a more great Charles Durning running, not as much as you get in When a Stranger Calls. That is the one saving grace of the kind of sluggish middle third of When a Stranger Calls, is you get a lot of Charles Durning running, which is great. Just love him. He like at one point chases him through like a soup kitchen or something, through like the back like hallways of like a homeless shelter or something. It's great, great chase scene in that. Um, but this one, he just sort of like chases him into an alley. And because he has arbitrarily painted himself black for his ventriloquist act, he can just stand up against the wall and be hidden. I will say, the shot of just his eyes in the darkness, pretty creepy, pretty effectively, much like last week, the shot of just the eyes in the scarecrow mask.
Yeah. There's
Pretty
a
good shot.
surprising amount of parallels between this and Dark Knight Scarecrow and just like a few other movies. Like I didn't realize until after I watched this that Jill Schoelen is also in Babes in Toyland.
Is she? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wait, is she the older sister?
I think so. Yeah, like yeah,
I totally didn't realize that.
she's fucking Mary Contrary.
Holy shit. So she is. I
Yeah,
knew that name looked vaguely familiar.
so they are our second and third multiple Charles Durning and Jill Schoelen are our second and third recurring stars.
After
David Morse. Oh
David
wait,
Morse.
no,
Yes.
there's also fucking Kathy Worthington, who I don't know who that is, but she was apparently in Big Dreams and Broken Hearts and The Late Shift.
There you go. There you go.
Kathy
Anyone else, or is
Worthington,
that
everybody.
Kathy Worthington? Is that it, according
That's it's
to
just four.
Patron? Okay. Um, so then Durning breaks into this guy's apartment after talking to the landlord, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that guy came here. His kids died, and he was looking for his wife." And that's really the only thing you get, that, like, yeah, he probably murdered those kids. But it's a lie anyway, so we don't know for certain that these kids are dead. But it's pretty
Again,
clear.
another thing they never really
Yeah,
confirm.
yeah. There's so much left, like brought up about how those kids went missing, not that they died. You want an answer there. But so he gets into his apartment and he finds the rag that Julia was holding in the hospital that he took out of her hand when he punched her a bunch, and then a bunch of Polaroids that are like, genuinely unnerving because it's a lot of shots of Julia in the hospital bed, and then also like shots of her breasts. Like he lifted up her gown and like took these photos of her in a way that, like, oh yeah, this is fucking creepy. This is, where's this mood in this movie? Where's more of this? Like, make it. I want. I want to know this guy's whole fucking deal. We get his like sad, tortured artist ventriloquist thing, and that he's very good at body paint, as we'll come to learn even more in a bit. And then this, but like I don't get any. Again, we get way too much of Kurt, whatever, from the first one. We know painfully much about his whole psychosis and his whole thing. And I don't know shit about this guy. I don't know shit about the Great Landis. I know he can throw his voice and
Mhm.
hide, and
He likes to be
he's
annoying.
he's a creep. But
He,
yeah. Also the other thing, the like maybe the biggest issue with him, not a creepy voice. His voice is not scary. The whole first thing, the whole first section, I didn't bring it up then, but like so much of what works in the first movie is that that voice is unnerving. And in this, he just sounds like a guy. He just sounds like a regular guy. It's not scary.
which that is like part of his thing in like the opening sequence. It's meant to sound like a normal guy, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm putting on my scary voice now," and then it's like,
It just doesn't really work
yeah.
ultimately. Um, but so now we're moving into our last act here because short movie, although we've been talking about it for like an hour
I'm
now.
surprised. I was expecting this to be one of our shortest episodes, but
Well,
you just got a lot of this plot written down.
yeah, I've just sort of been recounting beat by beat this entire movie because
And also you just keep going back to the first movie and comparing it there and there. And I did
yes,
not think
yeah,
we'd be doing that much. Because again,
uh,
I don't know the first movie. I was just
yeah.
not thinking about it at all.
No, that's totally fair. But so we get Carol Kane has now gone home again, and this was of all of the like, hey, I'm in your house scares. This one I think worked for me the best because she sees like an open carton of orange juice or whatever on the counter. She like sees it, walks away, then does a double take and go back to it, and then picks it up, and it's the carton that with the missing "Have you seen these kids?" from 5 years ago. Like that fucking worked. That fucking got me. That's a good thing. He's been holding on to that for years to use it as a prop in his fucking break-ins. Yeah, more of that. Give me more of this theatrical fucking freak being a theatrical fucking freak. I wanted way more of that, and this one like really fucking worked for me.
Yeah, we need more murders that are just weird art kids.
Yes, yeah. Uh, Again, Scooby Doo positive, other than like Scooby Doo annoying earlier when he's just lumbering towards her like a cartoon, but like more of these theatrical serial killers doing it for the bit. But so she like knows he's in there and pulls out her gun and is just sort of like walking around trying to find him. Uh, and he's doing the voices. He's calling out to her from all sides of her house. Do you want to tell the people? You
No,
want to tell the audience?
you go ahead.
No, no. I've said enough. You tell them.
I did zone out for a bit, right? So I don't know what you're leading me into.
Oh, did you miss like the wild thing from
No,
this ending
I
here?
mean I don't know what you're talking about right now because I
I'm
zoned
talking
out for a
about
little.
the thing of this. So,
You go
oh,
ahead, just say it.
okay. Okay. I do I get to tell you what happens in this movie here?
No,
Because
I remember what happens, but you just I like listening to you talk.
okay. So we have a shot of Carol Kane walking, holding her gun, unsure of where he is. And she walks out of frame. The camera holds on the wall and pans up, and a pair of eyes open. And he has painted himself, his entire body once again, in painstaking detail to look like her brick wall of the interior of her apartment, down to like, there's like a crack that he extended down across his face. There's like a pattern of like a concrete like X sort of thing that goes like across his shoulder. Like he went real into detail about this camouflage brick wall body paint that he did to himself. It's wild. But then he ends up tackling her and they have a little scuffle. Again, she's not a Mary Sue because we saw her fighting earlier. She's not. But so she like gets one up on him. knocks him down. Charles Durning comes in, I guess, because he was there.
Yeah.
And he like pulls a gun, and then she shouts, "Where's the gun that she was holding?" And then this brick man shoots her in the stomach, and then Charles Durning pops in like, oh, what Charles Durning does is without knowing that the guy is painted like the wall, just starts shooting the entire wall, the entire brick wall, until he hits Guy. And then like,
This this fucking ending is simultaneously like so fucking good, but also so, like the rest of the movie. It's so good at times, it's so silly, and this ending just combines into both. And also, it's very clearly just like one, it's probably a ripoff of When a Stranger Calls the original, but it's also clearly like
no,
it
not at all.
wants
No, not really. No,
it wants Silence
I
of
mean,
the
kind
Lambs
of, but not.
nachos.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like the body paint thing is very much doing the Buffalo Bill what do you
Like the
fucking
night
call those?
vision
Night vision
thing.
goggles. Yes. It's exactly that where she's, walking around with her gun. She doesn't know where he is, but he knows where she is. But like I can see someone being freaked out by that brick wall thing. Of like, oh shit, I didn't realize that what I was looking at was this guy. But it's just so goofy, especially when you're like, he had to have been in this apartment for a very long time, constantly cross-referencing his own body to the wall to make sure it works because it lines up perfectly is the thing. Is it lines up so perfectly. It's impressive production design, it's impressive makeup on a filmmaking level. But in universe, this guy must have spent so much time. Like I just imagine a movie where Carol Kane comes home like an hour early and he's just sitting there on the floor with a full body mirror, just like, oh shit, you weren't supposed to wait, fuck. Oh fuck, I'm like half brick, half man. Oh no, what do I do? Uh
But my thinking was that like he at some other time he like took a picture of the wall, brought it home, and then it's like before he goes to her apartment, he like paints himself at like his own
well
studio
then
or
I want
whatever.
to see that version of the movie of this brick man just like sitting on the subway getting to her apartment. Like
Exactly.
either way, because he's also, this is not a bald man, but he has like some sort of bald cap on with the paint on it that like he just looks like the world's like shittiest blue man group cover group that are like it's like brick based. I don't know. It's so dumb.
And it's
Um,
like we don't see him like have the kind of precise skills before. It's like we just see him like
we
full
know he
black
can
body
paint
paint.
himself all black. We know
Yeah,
that
we
he
know
can.
he could cover his body in paint, but it's like we have no establishment
It's
of
like
detail of him.
it's like Hunger Games PETA level camouflage body paint.
Oh
It
yeah.
is truly remarkable. The which he did, which also by the way was like originally he was supposed to just again paint himself black to blend in with the wall, but they were like, no, well he already did this earlier in the movie. Let's make it different this time. But like, just don't have him do that earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Like
so
just
anyway,
have him like be just like oh at the ventriloquist show, have him be like the color of the curtains or whatever that's behind him
yes.
and or something like that.
Or like have him be painted black there and then just not hide in the alleyway. Just get away some other way, running down the alley and like he just outruns Charles Durning so that we're
Or just
establishing that he can paint himself, I guess. Again, he's not a Mary Sue for that. Uh, but then like you're not because you're still effectively having him blend in with the wall again. It's
yeah.
just a different kind of wall. It's not that different to make it a brick wall. But so anyway, he,
Imagine like if they instead had him like blend in like on her bed or something like that.
yes, or like he blends in on the fridge and he like paints himself with the metallic paint and puts the magnets on himself or some shit like that.
He
Like
stitches like things that look like the magnets on his shirt or whatever.
exactly. But so anyway, he gets killed. He gets got. And
He
Carol
done did
Kane,
it.
yes, gets shot in the stomach, and then we go to her in the hospital. Charles Durning's over her bed, like, "Hey, well, he's dead. You're gonna pull through." And the doctor said that you should be alone in recovery, but I thought you might have someone. You might want to have someone to talk to. And he pulls back the curtain, and Julia's in the other bed, And she rolls over to be like, "Hey, I'm not dead." And the movie's over.
Hmm.
It's like no, like that's like I'm not exaggerating. Julia rolls over and the movie's over.
Yeah, it's like the last shot is like Carol Kane looking at her now non-comatose
But
friend?
still,
Question mark. I don't know how to describe the
uh,
relationship.
uh, uh,
Mentee.
apprentice, mentee, like now now I'm going to train you so that the next time somebody gets harassed by as a babysitter by some guy, you can be the one that buys her a gun and teaches her how to deal with the trauma, and we can just have it be a never-ending loop of that.
Honestly, let's make that third movie.
Yeah, I genuinely think the world is due for when a stranger calls a third time.
When a stranger,
When a
I'm trying to
stranger
think.
t when a stranger texts.
When a stranger leaves a voicemail.
When a stranger FaceTimes.
When a stranger zooms.
Ooh, yeah. I like that because it doesn't have to be Zoom the app. It can just be like zooming down the street, just like in a
Or
car.
or like zooms in like a camera or something like that.
Yes.
Telescope.
Uh, anyway, when a stranger goes on Instagram Live.
When a stranger lives.
Ooh, a double meaning there.
Yeah.
I guess you can really milk that for something. I don't know. Anyway, that's the movie. That's when a stranger calls back. A not a bad time, but a weird one. And I understand why it ultimately didn't get distributed theatrically, not just on Star Power. Although, like, I can't imagine what a 1993 movie star version of this would be. Like, who would you
Who would
like?
play whatever her
Like
name is? Julie?
Julia.
Julia.
See who's forgetting it now. But like,
At least I didn't call her Jill.
yeah, you called her Julie though, which
It is closer to her name.
shut up. I had three of the letters of Jill are in there.
I'm trying to think like who was an up and coming star at
Like
this time.
maybe a Juliette Lewis, not to make it even more confusing with the names, but like
Honestly, like that is a good pick. Like she was in Cape Fear and like this
I could
should
see that working. I also they probably were. It wasn't just that. It was also like Carol Kane and Charles Durning are not movie stars. It probably would have been like either recast the characters or just make it not those characters from the first movie. And like as much as neither of them are giving their A game here, it is charming to have them in it. It's nice to have them both back from the first movie.
I I think if they like with them making this movie, I think they would still bring him back. Like
Well, that was the
but
thing. That was why Universal dropped it, is because it wasn't starry enough. And
but that's why we
I,
gotta
I
get Winona Ryder as fucking Julia Jenz.
yeah. Jenz, by the way, Jenz.
Yeah.
Shitty fucking name.
I I like Jenz. I
It
just
it doesn't roll off the tongue. Julia
maybe not
Gen
your
Z.
tone.
She's Julia
Yeah.
Gen Z. That's her name.
Jenz.
Exactly.
That's
Um,
good. I like that.
thank you. What else is there to say about when a stranger calls back?
We went through
Anything?
my four notes. My notes were kind of shocked how good this opening is. Carol Kane's kind of bad. This ventriloquist thing is so stupid. This ventriloquist blows. Which
Yeah.
was when the scene was going on. It's just like, damn, this bring on Jeff Dunham.
Yeah. He fucking sucks in this. Uh,
No,
wouldn't
to be honest, I would rather have this guy than Jeff Dunham.
true.
I
Yes. Yeah.
honestly like his act. I think it's kind of interesting. I think I would go see it.
Yeah, I mean, child murder aside. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like we in the I wouldn't have known that he was a child murderer
Yeah. Yeah,
in
that's
this idea.
fair.
It's
Uh,
just this weird ass ventriloquist who it's like let's get him like an off Broadway show or something.
yeah, it's there's something there. There's performance art going on there, and they didn't get it. They didn't get him,
They,
and so he simply had to murder
yeah, it's like if you like that's what happens to artists. If you don't like them, they're gonna kill you or kill somebody
children or Julia or
or Ju
both.
or Julia. Children of Julia, sequel to Julia and Julia.
Yes, exactly. Um, do
Do
we
we want to are we do you think we're done with this episode?
no,
No.
because
Well,
it's
I
the
meant
last.
like b
Okay,
before we
yes.
go,
Yes.
we're done with When a Stranger Calls Back.
We are done with When a Stranger Calls Back. And so, as this is the last episode of the month of March, we are announcing, as we do here, the next month's lineup of movies, which we are doing a theme month, which is hopefully to be a recurring yearly every April.
A
We will be,
tradition.
yes, a tradition.
It's Brapel Dennehy.
We're talking about the films, the TV films of one, the late, the great Brian Dennehy, who
And
is our second most recurring actor on our list.
yes,
But Eric
behind
Roberts is too obvious and gets a lot of talk of like it's crazy how many movies this guy makes that are nothing.
yeah,
We want
and
to highlight the work of the luminous, the wonderful Brian Dennehy,
and also
one of the
Brian Dennehy's
greats.
just better. Like I don't
Yeah,
really care for Eric Roberts, but Brian Dennehy, he's a cool guy.
yeah, and he's also starring in a lot of them. Like
Mhm.
Roberts, I imagine is probably he'll do a paycheck or what have you. But so Brian Dennehy is the lead in a lot of these. So what we've figured to do because there's 5 Tuesdays in April,
Mhm.
we will be. How many of them are there on the list?
There are 54 Brian Dennehy movies on our list.
So we have each picked one.
Mhm.
Which have you removed those from the running?
I don't know yours yet, so.
Oh, no, we've talked about it briefly, but yes. Okay.
Oh, I had an idea, but I wasn't sure if like
No.
that was your.
Yes, that is the one. So
Okay.
we've each
I
picked one.
I can
We're
quickly remove them and then come back.
okay, and we are letting the randomizer do the rest. We're doing randomizer and then mine and then randomizer and then Eliza's and then randomizer for the Brian Dennehy lineup.
Mhm. I
Uh,
I've landed on Brapel Dennehy, but I know you
w-
don't like that at all.
that is fair, and I will allow it. But so
Like you
uh,
call it whatever you want, I'll call
yes.
it Brapel Dennehy. Anyway,
Uh,
I just got the list sorted out. I'm gonna reopen the Brian Dennehy page.
okay, let me pull up a random number generator.
Yeah, and I will tell you what movies we pick.
So
So first one is random,
out
52.
of yes, the page is loading. So out of 52, 51. That
All
should be
right,
easy to
makes it
find.
easy. We have The Ultimate Legacy 2015 as the start of our thing.
The Ultimate Legacy
A
20.
self-absorbed young man is challenged to grow a conscience and change his ways in order to receive an inheritance. Brian Dennehy is third billed, but I don't imagine he's anywhere near a lead role. You have Raquel
Uh,
Welch, Doug Jones.
ooh, Lee Merriweather,
Don't
Bill
know who that is.
Cobbs. Lee Merriweather is one of the 60s Batman Catwoman.
Oh, okay.
I think she's the one in the movie.
Nice.
Uh,
I've seen the movie.
yes, Bill Cobbs is also in this.
Yeah.
Uh,
A big cast here. Not sure
yeah,
who this self-absorbed young man is, but it's certainly one of these actors.
yes. Okay, should be fun. My first movie, or my movie that I picked, is a 1999 movie called Net Force. Let me read the logline off of Letterboxd. Set in the year 2005, a division of the FBI called Net Force has been initiated to investigate internet crime. A Bill Gates type character finds a loophole in his new web browser which enables him to gain control of the internet. NetForce, headed by Christopherson and Bakula's characters, set out to stop him. Yes, Chris Christopherson and Scott Bakula, Brian Dennehy, CCH Pounder, Xander Berkeley, Judge Reinhold, directed by Ron Lieberman, who doesn't appear to have done anything else that I know. But hell yeah, NetForce.
Net fucking force. I am so excited for this movie. Like I know it's going to be fucking insane.
Yes.
Like this is hopefully at least it's going to be the most like fucking out of pocket just insane movie we've ever seen.
Yes, I'm
Maybe
very
that's setting
excited
up
for that.
too high expectations, but I'm still excited.
Okay, your next number. Another easy one. Two.
That is Ruby and Oswald, which
From what
is
year?
1978. A dramatic recreation of the 4 day span preceding and following the assassination of John F. Kennedy in November 1963, drawn from authenticated events and eyewitness accounts. So, so far, we have movies that Brian Dennehy is not a major actor in.
Yes, but
Like,
that one also a great fucking cast.
yeah,
Michael Lerner as Jack Ruby, Frederick Forrest as Lee Harvey Oswald, Doris Roberts. I thought I saw more names in
Bruce
here.
French,
Yeah, big
uh,
cast at the very least. A lot of
no, not Walter Matthau. It's Walter Matthews, whoever that is.
I read that wrong as well.
Jesus Christ, this really is a big cast.
Yeah.
I,
Directed by Mel Stewart, who directed Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
oh, hey. This seems like it's at least attempting to be. Oh, and this is also a two-part. Oh no, it's just a 3 hour movie.
Okay.
But
Is this? Oh yeah, it's available on the Internet Archive. Thank you, that list on Letterboxd. So this is watchable.
mhm, hopefully,
I mean, if
like
it's on Internet Archive,
we might be
watchable,
able to view it, but is it watchable?
we shall see.
Now it's time for my pick,
Yes.
which is It Happened at Lakewood Manor, also called Ants.
Ants. Ants.
And and again, this is
Ants.
another fucking like a movie Brian Dennehy is not in much of. We
Ants.
haven't gotten any movies where he actually leads it, but still, I think this is still going to be a great month. Lakeside Resort comes under attack by seemingly infinite horde of flesh-eating ants. Uh, and what mainly drove me to pick this movie, first of all, is the poster, which is just a half-naked woman covered in ants. And secondly, this is one of Myrna Loy's final roles, and I was just so intrigued by that prospect. Also, Suzanne Summers is in this. Um,
Lovely.
but Myrna Loy just being one of her last movies being Ants or It
Ants.
Happened at Lakewood Manor. Uh, I'm just so, and also a lot of the reviews say it like Myrna Loy is one of the best parts of it, and she is a significant role in it. So I
Good.
just thought, hey, this could be fun.
Perfect.
Anyway,
Okay. And
what
our
is our
last number,
final movie?
21.
All right. 21 is an actual starring role. It's called In Broad Daylight.
Ooh, this one seems real interesting.
Oh, this is a long paragraph. The fanatically uncompromising Len Rowan and his family insult and terrorize the citizens of a small town for years. One day, the comment of a saleswoman about Len's son not being able to pay his sweets triggers off his persecution complex. As revenge for the believed insult, the whole family starts stalking the shop owner and her husband until this escalates and the old man gets badly injured. Len is arrested but gets off free on bail. His clever attorney delays the court session for more than a year while Rowan keeps threatening the witnesses. But then the people feel they've had enough of this and decide to take the law into their own hands. So Brian Dennehy is Len Rowan. He's the antagonizer.
It's a
I
true
bel
story, by the way.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
based on a real guy that real, as far as I know, mob justice
And then
happened around.
Cloris Leachman seems to be the shopkeeper or whatever that makes the supposed insult. You have Marcia Gay
Marcia Gay
Harden
Harden,
as
Chris
the
Cooper.
Chris Cooper. That's about it for names. But still, this sounds interesting. This sounds fun. This is actually a showcase of Brian Dennehy's talents, probably.
Yeah, I'm very excited for
I
this.
wonder
Was
if,
one of the ones that I looking forward to. So glad that this one got randomly pulled. Uh, good
yeah.
set of interesting set of movies we've got.
So yeah, The
So
Ultimate Legacy, then Net
Net
Force,
Force,
Ruby and
Ruby and
Oswald.
Oswald,
It happened at Lakewood
Ants,
Manor, also called Ants,
Ants
and then In
in
Broad
broad
Daylight
daylight. Those are our movies for
for
April.
for
I
Brayple
assume
Dennehy.
they should all be available. If not, we can tool around with that. But as far as I know, those are all findable, watchable, doable for
Yeah.
this podcast and
Oh
this
yeah,
month of Dennehy.
the
So
month of Dennehy.
there we go.
The I am so excited to do this every year.
I am
But
very excited for a whole recurring Brian Dennehy April. I will not call it that.
Brayple Dennehy is
Wait, The Ultimate Legacy is a sequel. It's the
It,
third in a series after The Ultimate Gift from 2006, The
and
Ultimate
the
Life from 2013, both of
now
which also have Brian Dennehy. Or at least the first one does. It looks like he's maybe not in the second one. The second one, The Ultimate Life, has Peter Fonda in it for no
crazy.
reason. I don't think he's in either of the other two, though. The first one has Abigail Breslin and James Garner and Brian
Is that
Denny.
that one also a TV movie or is it a movie
I
movie?
don't know. Let's see. Um,
Because I only see Ultimate Legacy on this
yes.
list.
The Ultimate Gift has a it premiered at the Heartland Film Festival here in Indiana
Hmm,
in the US. It did have a theatrical release in the US. Was released on TV in Slovakia in 2009,
does not
but
count.
I don't think that counts for us. But yes, The Ultimate Gift is this is so The Ultimate Legacy, the third in a franchise that I will not be watching the others, to make it clear.
Maybe I'll watch him so I can
Maybe
be
you will.
like I won't watch When a Stranger Calls, but I will watch The Ultimate Gift and The Ultimate Life. That'd be
Uh, Honestly, please do.
I'm kind of tempted. But we'll see. Well,
We'll
because
see.
we have
A
we
week on
I
that one.
oh yeah, like I have well, it depends on when we record, but I have at least a few days to decide whether I want to watch them.
I believe you.
I believe you. I think that's it. I think it's a good
That's
note
a
to end
good
on.
way to end this episode.
I
Good.
believe you.
I good to believe in each other.
Believe in yourself, audience.